What do you want to be when you grow up? The question is asked of us from the day we can talk. But there is a trend and opinion that we as a society need to stop asking this of our youth. Professor Andrew Joseph Pagoda lists in his blog, Without Ritual, Autonomous Negotiations, reasons why this question has a problematic effect. The question not only limits the time frame in which we are supposed to grow, but is asked before we can even have a full scope of what careers are out there. Online publications for young adults, including Hello Giggles, post articles showcasing famous and successful individuals who didn't reach their calling until their 30s. Included in the bunch, John Hamm, Vera Wang, Amy Poehler, Julia Child, and J.K. Rowling. Why the recent surge to promote and celebrate these career late bloomers? To encourage the idea that the opportunities of the present do not define our future destination, but instead help pave the road there. Today we will uncover the obstacles the millennial generation encounter while they attempt to answer this question. Next, we will follow the detour signs that will help us arrive at our destination. And last, take a look around and see if we can navigate our new surroundings using our community. Before we can talk about the obstacles in place for the millennial generation, we have to define the millennial generation. Generations are typically interpreted based on age range. However, no one can seem to agree just how expansive this range is. Neil Howe, contributor for Forbes magazine, states in his article introducing the Homeland Generation, "You can't be sure where history will someday draw a cohort dividing line until a generation fully comes of age." Howe guesses the millennial generation begins in 1982 and ends in 2004. So why is this particular group having a hard time in the workforce? We can point to the fact that more and more of the baby boomers are retiring later, but the obstacle I want to focus on is this. We have a lot of ambition, which is great, but we have a hard time accepting that means paying our dues to get there. And while some of us are not defined by this preconception, that doesn't stop prospective employers from thinking that we all are. We have the stigma that we are entitled and lazy, when in reality, we just have big dreams. In a study also conducted by Forbes magazine, 13% of millennials have their eye on climbing the ladder, whereas 67% are skipping the ladder and are looking to start their own business and be the boss right from the start. These aren't bad goals to have, but we need to remember big pictures come to be by a series of small brushstrokes. You shouldn't expect to inherently know how to manage employees effectively if you have never been managed yourself. The best tips you can get on how to run your business and how to listen to what customers want while reading what they need is if you had to be on the floor and punching the clock with that grunt work we can be so quick to dismiss. When we recognize our obstacles, we can begin to prepare to overcome them. One way is to accept the detours that pop up on our path and take note of the new knowledge and perspective they offer. So what did I want to be when I grew up? A secretary, a rock star, a lawyer, a writer for SNL. But I didn't become any of these in my growing up. When I was 17, I applied for several jobs to help pay for expenses. I was hired at Panera Bread as an associate, which is a super fancy way to say bottom-dwelling employee. I cashiered, washed dishes, ran orders, and ran the production line. When I left for college, I was convinced I was above the food service industry and attempted other jobs. The result? A 10-hour shift at a clothing warehouse, a seasonal stint at a retail chain, and a 4-ish month try at a daycare that, believe me, was not a good fit. None of them were. They didn't give me the diverse customer employee base that kept the workday interesting. So I went back to Panera. I was immediately promoted to trainer, which led to shift supervisor, and eventually assistant manager. I kept receiving offers to keep climbing, but I knew this wasn't my final stop, so I left, but not empty-handed. I learned about my work ethic. I discovered strengths I wouldn't have known I had otherwise. And I learned things like time management, scheduling, customer service, and training were skills that translated across a plethora of job environments. These skills weren't exclusive to food service. These were souvenirs I could take with me. Fast Company published an article shining a light on the starts of major CEOs. Indra Nooyi and Reed Hastings may not be household names, but their companies are. Nooyi, CEO of PepsiCo, her first job was working the graveyard shift as a dorm receptionist. And Hastings? Hastings brought us our beloved Netflix. But before that, he was trying to sell vacuums door to door and even held back on college so he could make a few more dollars. Hastings said of his experience, "I loved it, strange as it sounds. You get to meet a lot of different people." I'm on another detour. It's a cubicle job for an insurance company in a stark contrast to my previous job environment, but the elements are still the same. Managing employees, satisfying clients. Only now it offered me a consistent schedule, which opened up more time for me to discover new passions. In April of 2014, my sister was married and I was enlisted to help plan the wedding. Our budget was small to work with, so it required a lot of creativity and the ability to see something that wasn't yet there. We scoured junkyards and salvation stores. My sister has a very specific taste and has trouble veering from the images she has in her mind. She wanted an industrial theme since her venue had exposed brick walls and exposed pipe ceilings. She wanted coppers and golds and bronzes and steels and her colors of yellow and cyan. These are detailed requests to ask when you're relying on second-hand finds. But I found out I enjoyed the challenge of bringing visions to life. It was a pleasure to satisfy the client as they saw their dreams unfolding. Yes, the client was my sister, but she is no easygoing peach. From then, I have helped with bridal showers, bachelorettes, birthday parties, and my 10-year reunion. These detours let me pick up the skills and locate the passions needed to figure out that what I want to be when I grow up. And what I want to be when I grow up is within the field of event coordination. When we arrive at our destinations, we all need a little help navigating. Our surroundings can help with this. I know I want to pursue a career in event coordination, but I want to bring something new to the table too. Omaha has a need for small to mid-sized venues at an affordable price. In the New York Times article, The Death of the Party, Teddy Wayne attributes part of the house party decline in the millennial generation to millennials living with their parents, living in a space that can't accommodate all guests comfortably, or in a location that isn't convenient. My plan is to buy a place that feels cozy like someone's home, but spacious enough to fit a maximum of about 5 or 50 people. I might have finished the trip, but there is still a journey to be had. If you still feel lost, even if you know you are on the right track, your community can be the compass needed to continue on. So, do you know what you want to be when you grow up? Grab your maps, get in your ride, and start your journey. There are going to be obstacles. Work hard to overcome them. And you may run into a few detours. Pick up souvenirs along the way. And if you find yourself lost, examine your surroundings. They can be your guide. We all reach our destination eventually, and we will be growing up the whole way there. In the words of Douglas Adams, I may not have gone where I intended to go, but I think I have ended up where I intended to be.